Hello, friends. I acknowledge that I suck. I've wanted to do more consistent videos, and I didn't do a video this last week or the promised Ruble Wednesday. Hi, I'm Georgia. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. This is Crocheting Chaos. So, let's start with the winter storm. We got maybe 7 inches of snow and then a bunch of ice on top of that. And we couldn't get I'm Georgia. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. This is Crocheting Chaos. Let's start. I'm Georgia. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. This is Crocheting Chaos. Let's start with the winter storm. We ended up with about 7 inches of snow with a lot of ice on top of it. Wednesday was the first day that we could get out, and it still wasn't good. Google Maps had our road marked as closed for very good reason. I had to venture out to get a few things that we ran out of, and our road, to say it was precarious would be an understatement. But it was bad. There was still like an inch of ice on it, and then like the slushy snow stuff where people had been driving on it, like attempting to leave, and it was bad. I mean, Wednesday they attempted to clean the road, but they didn't do a very good job. They had to come back through later and redo it and put down ice melt, which meant that Thursday the road was fine. But having gone out Wednesday, I emailed my professor and I'm like, I'm not coming in. Like, my neighborhood roads are really bad and I don't feel safe driving into campus. Then I get up Thursday morning and the roads are fine. And I'm like, well, crap. Okay, whatever. But then I talked to the other student that I'm doing my young adult literature independent study with, and I was told that even though they were saying the campus was open to everyone, they had not cleared any of the handicapped accessibility. So that would have been problematic for me with my mobility issues. So it's a good thing I didn't go in. One of my Tuesday classes was canceled. The other one took place on Zoom, and I hate Zoom class. It's just this huge flashback to the pandemic, and I would rather not do it. So that was the storm, and that storm really kicked my butt, and I have felt like doing absolutely squat through the whole thing. I still have a migraine headache through it all, a fibromyalgia flare, and I've been trying to make the melt the ice hat, and this is all the further I've gotten. I have had to take it apart so many times, it's ridiculous. But I think I finally got it, and I had to change the brim from a slip stitch to a single crochet, but I think it's going to be fine. It's just not going to look like it's knitted. And this melt the ice hat, I have so many thoughts and I don't know where to start. There have been a lot of people saying that doing this, that making these hats, that crocheting or knitting this or that, or participating in craftivism does nothing. That the real work is being done by people at the protests and stuff. Well, yeah, the real work is being done by those people. They're the ones out there putting their lives on the line. But being able to participate in those protests partially comes from a place of privilege. These are people that live right there, that can go before work, that can go after work, that maybe can use their vacation time. You know, it is really cold out there. I imagine people like doing things in shifts where they're not getting frostbite and stuff. Like, I know that people in Minnesota are out there in the streets watching for ICE agents and telling others where they are. That you can't be doing that like 24/7 or whatever. You have to take breaks. And I see a lot of what's being done out there being done in shifts, especially in this cold. Now, you know, these people out there, you know, they're doing, you know, and the same thing in Oregon. They've got protests going on in Seattle that we're not hearing a lot about, but they're out there happening. Vincent from Not Bad has gone out there and taken yarn and crochet hooks and taught people how to crochet at the protests as a form of resistance. And yeah, the people out there, they are doing the real work. But craftivism, making these hats, you know, these multi ice hats, they were very symbolic in Nazi occupied Norway, to the point that they became illegal to wear. They were a sign of the resistance. They were a sign of saying, hey, we don't agree with this. Now, when you think about the MAGA hats, you know exactly, the people that are wearing them, you know exactly what they stand for. And they are part of a greater community of people that stand for the same thing. And it's a way of showing solidarity, or to show that, hey, I'm a part of this group. And these multi ice hats are the same way. It's a show of solidarity. It's a way of saying, hey, I don't agree with this. It's a way of showing very silently, I'm missing the word that I want, that you're standing with those protesters in Minneapolis, that you're standing with those protesters in Oregon, that you completely agree with what they are doing. Now, imagine if the greater part of the population across the United States wore these. That would send a message to our elected officials that, hey, we don't agree with this. You know, if they're seeing all these people showing resistance in this subvert manner, that, oh, hey, maybe they might start thinking, you know, they're politicians. We don't know what they think. Some of them, you know, my hair is getting too long and it's just making everything itch. Some of them don't care what we think. Let's be honest. But those that are actually in their position, because they're still very, again, I'm losing a word. They want to serve the people that elected them. They are thinking, oh, hey, this is what my constituents believe. I can see this just by walking out in neighborhoods and seeing everybody wearing these hats. That is the power of craftivism. It's not something that's not going to make a difference. At the very least, this gives a way for somebody to channel the anxiety that they are feeling against what is going on in the world into something else. And that alone is useful. Especially somebody with mental health issues that deal with the anxiety on a daily basis and look at the news and have anxiety attacks over what's happening. This gives them a way to channel that. And that is doing something good. Not only that, but the original designer of these hats has raised over $250,000 to help the immigrants that are being affected by the occupation of ICE. There have been other people come up with other patterns, and I was looking at some of them, and I was kind of put off. I think that's a good word. Like the original hat, all the proceeds are going to help the immigrants. Somebody else made one and they're charging the same $5, but they're only donating $1. And I don't know how I feel about that. That is, I don't know. I don't know how. But also, the original designer that put out the pattern for these hats has raised $250,000 as of a couple days ago to help immigrants. So that they're not only that, but the original designer who put out the pattern for these hats has raised $250,000 at least. That was a couple days ago, to help the immigrants affected by the occupation of ICE in Minnesota. So that is a good thing. That is doing something. Now, there have been other people that have come out with different variations of the hat, and I don't know how I feel about some of them. There is one person that did a hat. They're charging the same $5, but only $1 of the proceeds is going to help. And I don't know, that I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose, that they're seeing this as a money-making thing, but also, hey, I need to donate some of this because this other person is donating everything. Like, I don't know. I try not to judge anybody, but something about that just doesn't sit well with me. And, there have been free versions come out, which is whatever. Not everybody is in a position that they can afford to buy crochet patterns. So, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm not against variety because somebody might like one hat a little bit more over another hat. So, whatever. But I don't like that some of this feels like it's intentionally undermining what the original designer is doing. So that's my 2 cents on that. Maybe it's my 5 cents since we don't have pennies anymore. So, moving on. I did finish one thing since my last video, and that is the slow pro beanie. I seen a picture of one on Pinterest, and the designer was asked for a pattern, and they said they didn't have one, and they freehanded it. Well, I took a look at it. I can't guarantee this is how they did their hat, but this is what I did, and I'm willing to write up and share my pattern for this. I put this on my kitchen scale when I was done with it, and I'm actually surprised that cat ear beanies fall into scrap yarn projects. This only took like 3.2 ounces of yarn, which really amazed me. I didn't realize they took so little yarn. And speaking of scrap yarn projects, this is something that I want to do every month now. And this is show everybody how much yarn I've used since. My goal is, and I have failed at this already in January, it's February 1, time to start over and try again. I want to use the yarn that I have without buying anything outside of chenille yarn, because I don't have a lot of chenille yarn to make things that I want to make. So I'm really trying to stash bust. And this is the yarn that I used this month. So this isn't counting the 3.2 grams that I used on my Snorlax hat. So that's 2 grams, that's 2 grams. Both those should be 1. This is 150, and the Vortex is 150. Oh, and speaking of Vortex yarn, real quick, since I'm right there, I have gotten as far on my raglan. I have broken for the sleeves. I was hoping to have this done by the time I go back to class, but since I've been stuck on this pattern for the melted ice hat, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to try. There's a possibility I can get both done by Tuesday. Small possibility, very small possibility, but we'll see. Okay, back to yarn counting. So these 2 are 150, that's 3. 4, I'm doing it that way because I don't math well. 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 100 grams of yarn plus 1 wool kit. I think that's pretty good. I think it's okay. There's probably somebody out there that used more yarn than that, but all of this was like used on Kaiju number 8, Pikachu, my Amphros, on my Snorlax hat, adjuster hat that I made to do, I'm not showing everybody this, to film a tutorial on how to make one of these hexagon hats. I just need to edit that footage and get it up. As I said, I've not felt like doing anything. My derpy sweater that I've not touched. My raglan. Yeah, I think that's all that I've been working on. I was hoping to have my hat done, the multi-ice hat done, where I could add that yarn to this month, but that's not happening. I did buy 2 Eagles kits. One of them I picked up at Barnes & Noble, and it's this cute flamingo. She looks like she's got parts on her belly. I thought that was cute for Valentine's Day. And I wanted to pick up these sea creatures because when we're looking into they glow in the dark. I have the patterns for them. This one's Fly the Kraken, but I wanted the yarn where they can glow in the dark like my aliens over there. I've already taken the hooks and put them in the little bag, the storage bag for picking random Google's kits to work on. Zoe's is just pink with her name on it, and Vlad's has him all over it, which is really cool. So they're already in here to pick a random kit. As I said, I have failed at not buying yarn. While I was at Barnes & Noble, let's back up. While I was at Barnes & Noble, I picked up this book, Crochet Creatures by Megan Lab, and her books are really cool because she gives you can mix and match body parts. My husband asked me to make a dragon for his office manager at work, and he kept sending me patterns off of Etsy that were AI generated. And I'm like, look, I know where to get a really nice dragon pattern that is not AI generated. And it was this book, because this book has been sitting on my wish list. So I have it. At Michael's, I picked up this one, Aquatic Amigurumi 2. I am not going to butcher Natasha's last name, but my adult offspring that was with me fell in love with these fish. And me to write and wants me to make them. So I picked up the book. There's a couple other things in here that they really liked, but so I picked that one up. Please don't fall. They're sitting precariously on a stack of books that I need to read for uni. One other thing that I have failed at these last 2 weeks is not buying crochet patterns. Now, I mentioned that I wanted to work through a portion of the patterns that I have here because I have so many before I buy anything else. And, well, I have 11 more patterns here. I may have to quit watching everybody's This Week's Makes videos and market prep videos because I am finding more and more things that I want to make, starting with this Granny Square Shrug by Woolly Mama Crochets. This one I've been looking at for a while. It's been on my radar. I know what yarn I'm going to use for it, so there's at least that. It'll be a stash busting project. This Crochet Baja hoodie from Home of Creative Chaos. I found this last night. I picked up one of these hoodies at the thrift store, and I actually decided that I liked it. It's a little bit scratchy where it wasn't cared for properly, but I wanted to see what they ran, and I did a Google search and I found a pattern for it. So I can make my own. I can make as many as I want. So that's cool. And I think I know the first yarn that I'm going to make this out of. I have to see if I have enough. Okay, this Lotus Flower by Yarny Vibes. I've got a list here and I'm trying to read my own writing. But if I'm going to go see the monks, I want to make this lotus flower or make a number of these lotus flowers to give to the monks, so I'm kind of not counting this pattern because it was cheap enough. It was under $4 and I have a purpose right away for it. So here's hoping the leather holds and the timing's right and I can go see the monks. Carl the Chubby Crocodile by Melzy Crochet. I think that's how it's pronounced. I have to blame this one on Nicole over at Beta Flamingo. I find so many things on her channel that I want to make. She makes the cutest stuff and the weirdest stuff. So I'm right there. Cosmo the Alien and this monster bundle. I have had Cosmo on my list for a while because I'm all about him and his little crochet cow. Along with the monster bundle. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but when I was doing my master's in English, I did a folklore program with it as well, and I'm just all about the cryptids. So Mothman, the Wendigo, the sea monster that are in here, it's like right up my alley, and I love these things. This feral tapestry graph from Shop Cody Crochet. This forest lobster and this other Mothman pattern from Sassy Wolf Crochet. The lobster reminds me of a character from the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, only the character was a crab and not a lobster. And this Mothman is really cute because I've not seen one with his own lantern before. This chubby pigeon from Foxden Handmade. I think I also seen this on Nicole's channel. But who doesn't love a fat pigeon? You know, I was in Baltimore once. Well, I've been in Baltimore more than once, but on this one particular trip, there was a pigeon that was so fat it could not fly. It was both funny and sad, but I have never seen a pigeon that fat before, and I haven't seen one that fat since. And finally, this butterfly dragon snuggler from Holly's Yarn Crochet. I don't remember where I first seen this, but I think he's really cute. But these are the newest patterns to my collection, and I really need to stop. Now, as I said, my dog is he done? No. As I said, I have failed at not buying yarn at my polls. I picked up 3 skeins of this on sale, buy 2 get 1 free. This is one of the macchiato cakes. I've never seen this color before. It's Blazing Sunset, and Same Adult Offspring wants a sweater made out of this. So I bought this to make a project for somebody else. So I don't know if that counts as not buying yarn, but as a technicality, I mean, I bought yarn, but it's not for something that, you know what I'm getting at. This, the red that I'm using for my hat is Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton, and I picked this up to make something else with, so I needed to replace it. And so we went into Hobby Lobby. I picked up a couple skeins of the red, and it's two different dye lots. Yay. But I also picked up this. Also, I love this cotton. I am wanting to remake a cardigan that I did out of skull granny squares. And I seen where somebody did it in pastels, and that's what I really wanted to do. And said Offspring was like, that's going to look very pastel goth, and you don't want to do that. Okay, whatever. So I picked a little, like a brighter colors, this pink, this orange, this yellow, this green, and this purple. And I decided to do the skulls in sparkly yarn. And I want one as well and pick the 4 darker colors. So that's what this is for. I don't know if this is going to be enough yarn to do both of them. I might have to go back and get a color here and there. We'll see. So then I went back to Michael's because I wanted these. These are, this is stone wire for making flowers. Now, if at all possible, we have a group of monks coming into our city later this week on their walk for peace. They started in Fort Worth, Texas, and they're ending in Washington, D.C. And they have been walking for 93 days. And I would like, if at all possible, because I've already used my Hey, You're Allowed to Miss One class card because of the storm. But it'd be bad of me to miss class this coming week anyway, because it's my short story that's being workshopped, and that would be bad form. But I want to go see the monks, and I want to make crochet flowers to take to them. And I've dug through all of my yarn, and I've got the yarn that I can make lotus blossoms. And that's what I wanted to do. I want to finish this hat, and I want to make some lotus blossoms to take to the monks. But I also need to find out what time they're going to be here, what their visiting hours are, as they call it. And if this is going to interfere with class. If it is, they're still going to be in the area. I mean, I might be able to travel to one of the other cities around me that they're going to be at and do that. But I really want to go see the monks because I support them. I totally agree with what they're doing. The world out there is a dumpster fire, and we could all use more inner peace, and we could all use more world peace. So while I was at Michael's, I got distracted by yarn because, of course, I did. And it started off innocently enough. They had 3 balls of the anniversary cake for the slice of anniversary cake and book club. Now, when this came out in the giant things of it, I missed it. I wasn't able to get it. And it is easily the most popular color. So the fact that I found 3 made me really happy. I now have 5. And I think I mapped that to 2,300 yards. I'm sure I can do something amazing with that. But this is what I was going to leave without this because it's book club. So that. And then I keep staring, and I've been staring at these since they came out. These groovy cloud cakes. One, I love the filled cloud cakes. This one is called Candy Bowl. I picked up 2 of these. And it should theoretically be enough to make a hexagon cardigan out of for me because they're 720 yards each. But I'm going through this variegated yarn phase, and I can't decide if I like them or not when I first seen them, but I'm taken with this. So I picked up 2 of these, and then my third yarn that would be free, I picked up a skein, a ball, a cake of the matching mustard yellow in this color that goes with this, that they made as a compliment to that. And it's like sitting over there, and I don't want to grab it because I might make a mess. I've got 2 new buckets here. The bottom one contains my bookworm and olive yarn, and it is a massive thing. I'll put a picture here. And I said Spawn, who has been mentioned in this, was like, don't you think that's a little big for like one project? I'm like, you've had your hands on my bookworm. You see that it doesn't fit in the box with half of its yarn. And they were convinced it was going to be too big. It's not. And I just ordered more yarn. I ordered yarn from Lion Brand in colors that I need for the bookworm. So again, like that's needed for a project, and I knew I was going to need to buy more yarn for this. So does that count towards my not buying yarn? I don't know. And then I pulled out an empty bucket that I have. The lid's been broke for, but all of my whips are in here, and I keep stacking other craft stuff on top of here that I need to put away. What I need to do is grab a box and just go through here and grab all the yarn that I need to put away and start doing that. But I don't want this to become precarious and stuff fall. With my yarn winders up there and some other stuff. So, and in the world of yarn orders, I bought other yarn. My premier yarn order is supposed to be here today. I don't think it's going to make it. I checked tracking and it's still in North Carolina. I don't think that it's going to be here. But I needed some Parfait Chunky for a project. You know, again, I don't have a lot of Parfait Chunky. Well, I mean, I have a lot of white. But, you know, it's that thing that if I want to make something, I'm probably going to have to order the colors that I need. So I'm ordering that on an as-needed basis. But I also bought some Premier Basics worsted in pastel colors because I don't have any pastel. And I thought this might be the yarn that I make the replacement, the second, the alternate, the whatever, Skull Granny Square cardigan out of. So, okay, that was bought with intent, but then, like, I kind of changed my mind to work with this, so we'll figure out what I do with that. But there is yarn in there I definitely did not need. There's a new color of Malabrigo yarn that I fell in love with called Chameleon that I ordered. That was yeah. And on that same note, I ordered some pink recycled Morocco yarn from crochet.com that I don't know what I'm going to use it for. So as I said, I have already failed at the new yarn buying. I picked up stuff at Michael's. Like I don't know what I'm doing with this. I have not decided what I'm going to do with my book club Karen cakes, but like I said, I've got 8 of them now. I've slowly been collecting them. until I thought that I had enough to do something with it. Well, I think I have enough now. Wonder how much. I was like, well, maybe I can make it into a star blanket, but I don't know how much yarn that takes, and I'm not sure I'd want it all in one yarn color. I'll have to think on that. So there's that. I'm a failure turtle. I admit it. But as I said, it's February. It's a new month. I'm gonna start over and try and do better. Looking around, and I think that's all I have for everybody today. So I will leave this video here, and I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be a Wooble Wednesday. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever it is you do, and I will see you in the next one.